It's like Satoshi merged the physical world with the metaphysical world. Now you have this thing that's informational, that's finite. It's like Saylor says, he discovered matter in cyberspace. And like that is what's the difference between cyberspace and just the ethereal realm? As far as I'm concerned, it's all invisible information that's just moving around, and it's almost like we've quite literally merged those two worlds.
Right.
And I think I don't know how that's affecting our conscious state of being, but it clearly is.
So, you mentioned fractals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I mean, I see fractals everywhere in the world, right? Everything is a fractal of the greater consciousness in my
Yes.
mind. And you can see fractals even in the chart of Bitcoin, because humans are interacting with Bitcoin and it's painting these fractals up on the bar chart, right? So you see fractals all through nature. And I think fractals are, in essence, part of natural law. So to me, and I've just started to kind of think about this idea, so I'm excited to throw it out to you and get your feedback, right? I'm starting to visualize Bitcoin as a fractal of consciousness or consciousness money. So if I think of consciousness as everything that has been, everything that is, and everything that will be, as like a chain
Mm-hmm.
that never ends of all potential possibilities or all potential human transactions. Right?
Yes.
Living in consciousness. And we as humans with our antenna are connecting, downloading, sending, receiving, moving these transactions in consciousness.
Yes.
The private public key pair and the Bitcoin blockchain is a fractal of that system, and that we're using our private keys to send, receive, inspect, review,
Yeah.
see what transactions have taken place in the future, or in the past, in the here and now. Whatever transactions we're deliberately doing in the future are then coming into the here and now. It's to me, it's just mapping. It's like Satoshi grabbed consciousness, mapped it to money, created a fractal version of it, and imported it into money. And I think this might be why we're experiencing this sort of enlightenment through this damn protocol of truth.
Yeah, that is I like that. And it made me think of one thing that Bashar says is one of his five laws, and everything is here and now. Everything that ever was, ever will be is all here and now, and it's that's the quantum physics perspective. And another fascinating thing, I think that everything is conscious. I think that, everything is energy, everything is vibration, and everything is conscious. And now we have the ability to, through the ethereal realm, you could say, but it's through cyberspace, send that energy in a way that we've never been able to before. And I think that connection, there's some sort of correlation there between your ability to upload your life force into this ethereal realm and send it to somebody else, and in such a profound way. It's just it's so wild and such a
It's
big
radical.
deal. It's like, in one of a podcast, Portal Orange, Breedlove, Valis, Kaysen, American Hodl, and Sailor were talking, and they were just talking about, how Satoshi merged all of these different things together to create the protocol. And Breedlove referred to it. He's like, yeah, it's humanity's masterpiece. Like, this is humanity's masterpiece. This is the thing that's taking us into the new age. This is it's a fundamentally different reality. So I think about simulation theory, and the idea essentially that at some point it's logical to think that we'll be able to create a simulated reality that's so good it's indistinguishable from base reality. If you look at the technological advancement within video games over the last 20 years, if you fast forward the clock, whether it's 200 or 2000 or 2 million, 2 billion, at some point, it's logical to think that we'll be able to create a simulation that's indistinguishable from base reality. If that's the case, then it's actually not likely, it's improbable that we live in base reality. So if we live in a simulation, in some sense, it's almost like, and I think, Kaysen said Bitcoin is messianic. Like Satoshi could be the Messiah. Like, did the returning of Christ happen in in 2009 and most people are unaware of it? Did the creator fundamentally type a few new lines of code and upgrade the simulation? I think like the BB world, like the game fundamentally didn't work. We had defective assets. We were limited to the physicality of property. The incentive was to violence. You have something that I want. I say, give me some of that. You say, no, thank you. I say, hey, I want half. You're like, no, I don't want to give you any. I kill you. I get all of it.
Yep.
Now with Bitcoin, that's completely changed. Dematerialized property. Now the incentive is to peace. It's like, from my perspective, if we live in a simulation, it's like an update hit the simulation. It's like, oh, let's download update 2.674 or whatever. Nope, we're in a new time. The simulation, the computer program is running a new protocol, and it changes the fabric of our reality.
Yeah, man. I mean, property literally just got uploaded into consciousness.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty wild.
You can carry property around in your head. It's the double spin problem. Everything that was informational pre-Bitcoin, I tell you 100,000 years ago, hey, go down to the river. There's some fish there. You have a copy of that information. I have a copy of that information. I send you a JPEG, an email, or whatever. You maintain a copy. I got a copy. Before Bitcoin, there was nothing informational that I could. There wasn't a informational bearer instrument. I couldn't give you some piece of information without maintaining a copy of it.
Yep, that's for sure. Yeah, man, this is definitely, we're getting to a point where I think we might hit a critical mass, where I feel like we have people waking up from lots of different spokes on the wheel.
Yeah,
right? Whether that's through the food that they're eating and they're realizing they're being poisoned, whether that's from pharmaceuticals and COVID, whether that's from the corruption in finance, whether it's from loss of freedom of speech, censorship, all these different things that are waking people up and turning them are causing them to second guess the system. And then they're digging in and they're finding at the core of all these systems is money. And then they're learning about the corruption of money. And then from there, they hopefully get into the Bitcoin rabbit hole, which creates this spiral of consciousness
upwards,
raises them, elevates them upward.
Yeah.
And now they're motivated to fix the entire system without that nihilistic approach of just destroying it and knocking it down. If that happens, this would be the first time in human history where we transition without mass destruction.
Totally
agree. That's what I'm hopeful for. That's what I'm hopeful for.
I totally agree. And yeah, it's so we use money to transfer effectively to just move energy back and forth between each other. And if we're eternal, infinite beings, we would then want to experience limitation. We would want to experience the contrast. You can't have sweet without bitter. You can't have light without dark. And so in some sense, the discovery of Bitcoin is like the Holy Grail. It is the thing that is a catalyst to almost sending you down. It's almost the catalyst to send you down the spiritual path to realize that, like, wait a second. I think we are coming from this infinite consciousness fractalized in an attempt to experience contrast and experience itself. And the way Bitcoin affects your ability to grapple with that potential is very profound.
I agree. So this whole idea of yin and yang, right? Dark and light.
Yeah.
It's almost like you cannot appreciate the beauty and truth of Bitcoin until you've experienced the lies and the corruption.
Absolutely. And that's why I personally believe we live in the best time ever. I think to myself, like, wait a second. I got to my mid 30s or early 30s, and I spent, 15 years of my life thinking, like, gosh, like this is a terrible time to be alive in a lot of ways. Like, this is terrible. And there, it's so beautiful, and I feel so grateful. Like I look at my daughter and I think to myself, like, she doesn't have the contrast that I have of the BB world. Like, I know firsthand how fucked things were, and now I'm getting to experience the new world. And I say it when I make rants walking around in the greenhouse. We live in a new fucking world. It is a fundamentally different reality. The discovery of Bitcoin changes everything.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest ByteFederal ATM and turn your cash to coin. ByteFederal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, ByteFederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.